when he diverts to another route. Things like those are coming, but what we need is that we need also to have like incentives for drivers, because what does a driver get if he drives very well? One thing, if you don't keep up with the other matatu drivers, one thing is going to lose your job, because the job is set on target. What will happen if you don't deliver your target? You lose your job. Most of us who work in the matatu industry, it's not like our choice. This is not the job we would want to have. It's a job as a last resort, because you can't have the you have to pay rent, you have children, you have family. So this is not a job that you choose. I really want to be a matatu driver. It's the job that you go, because you have the driving experience. The circumstances are forcing you to be a matatu driver. But when you come now to the industry, the way the industry is structured, the NTSA insisted that the SACCO are supposed to employ us, like we get into employment, you have a salary at the end of the month, you have things like benefits like NHIF, you have like NSSF. But when you come to the ground, the SACCOs did not employ the matatu drivers. The matatu drivers still work on target, like contract. You are hired in the morning. If you don't meet your target by the end of the day, you lose the job.
That you earn at the end of the day.
Yeah, so there's nothing that holds you to that job. It's like, that is why you see like your matatu can be stopped on the road and the driver just skips and leaves the matatu, because he knows the consequences. If I'm arrested with this, or maybe I was overlapping. Why was the driver overlapping? I think there's a lot of things that we need to look at. Why is the driver overlapping? Because of his employer is demanding. Maybe it's intimidation from the employer. The passengers also demand, like, I want to be driven fast. Passengers pay more to be driven faster, because the way what is happening on the ground, what we, the matatu drivers and the matatu workers, are dealing with the passengers, because most of the people who complain about the way matatu are driven rarely do use matatus. They only use the matatu as just their other, when they are on the motorists, maybe they're overlapping, you're passing all these vehicles. Those are the ones who complain more about the matatu. But the passengers who are riding in that bus, because you can imagine, like, I'm driving like careless and they have 33 souls and nobody is complaining. They are all there, silent, nobody is complaining. I'm overlapping, I'm driving on the other side, and they're all happy. And they'll come in the evening and still wait for that same matatu. Why are they doing that? Because they need things to move fast. I think the government is still failing us, because we have the traffic is growing. More people are coming to live in the cities, coming from the region to come and live in the cities. So the demand for transport is increasing. And now the road has to be congested. How are we going to keep up? How are we going to meet our target if we just drive behind all the other vehicles?
All right, Daphne, some valid argument there, though one will also say that really that's still not a good enough excuse. But something interesting that he mentions is that you have 30-something people in the vehicle who will not complain. So the ones who are complaining are probably the one in other cars, as opposed to those in the matatu. Is that an attitude that can be changed? Because really, at the end of the day, when we lose lives, that's when now we come out and say, oh, he was driving too fast, or he was being careless, or he was drunk or something.
We are currently working especially on, we realize that about passengers, on passenger empowerment, because you see that after an accident, that's when a passenger would say, alikuwa anakimbia sana. But I've been in matatus and I've several times, and I've heard many passengers actually come up and say, tunataka kufika mzee pole pole. So you have the right, and there are several times where passengers have actually stopped when there's a police check. They would disembark and tell the police there that this driver is drunk. So our aim is to empower more passengers to speak up. And we have campaigns like the Zusha campaign. If you see in matatus, there are stickers there that encourage passengers to speak up when they feel that the driver is being reckless on the road. And when he says that it's true that in this, especially rush hour, everyone wants to get to work early. So the passengers in the matatu, the matatu that's overlapping, they are happy, they're getting there faster, and the other road users are the ones complaining. But don't forget that we have pedestrians and cyclists. So they're the main road users, other than in terms of non-motorized means of transport.
Right.
So they're the ones who suffer, because when you're overlapping, you're denying the child who's walking to school, you're denying the cyclist, you're the ones knocking them and crashing them, and so they're the ones that really suffer, not even the ones who are the other motorists.
We need to wind up, and maybe what would your message to all our viewers be, because we have both. We have drivers who are watching, we have others who will be in a matatu and possibly have a voice as well. What would your message to them be in terms of safety?
My main thing is, as a road user, in whatever capacity, always obey the traffic rules and try to see what can you do personally to make your life safer. As a passenger, you have the right to speak up if something is wrong. You know, the same way if they're going to charge you extra 10 bob for your fare, everyone is up in arms. I would like everybody to be up in arms when it comes to safety. A drunk driver, clearly, you just say, no, we're not, you have to change, we're not going. When it comes to the pedestrians on the road, use footbridges in whatever capacity. Use exercise judgment for your own life. At the end of the day, you carry your own life.
Right.
And when you're dead, people are suffering, and you have one life.
James Karaoke, closing comments?
Yeah, okay.
In terms of safety, from the matatu, speaking as a matatu driver.
As a matatu driver, I would like to urge the government to not always to be against us, but to look at our perspective. And let us sit down in these forums and let us discuss, hear our things from our perspective. Because there are other things, maybe if the matatu drivers are speeding, there are other ways that we can slow them down. There are speed bumps, there are road strips, there are like sidewalk, footbridges that we can build near those schools to avoid these crashes, because I cannot speak on behalf of all the matatu drivers, because everybody has his attitude. There are good drivers and there are bad drivers. There are those drivers who take it as a career, those drivers who just work as a stepping stone to looking for something else better.
Okay.
On road safety, I would like to say, to encourage every driver, be on the safe side, because once you cause an accident, you can't live with that trauma. Maybe you killed somebody, even if the case will not take you away, you still.
So the message here is be careful.
Be careful,
all right.
Drive safely.
All right, thank you very much. Well, that is Daphne Kemunto, who is the Executive Director for Usalama Watch Initiative, and James Karaoke, who is a matatu driver and also a blogger. They're having a conversation in regards to safety, but we're going to wind that up right there. But coming up next is State of the Nation. This morning, what is it that we learn from the NYS saga? We'll be looking at the history of it, where we are today, and possibly as the electorate, what is it that you want to learn out of this, and what is the way forward? Remember, we'll be doing it different, but I'll let you know how in just a bit. Well, do stay with us right here on Morning Express.